can't win a title without Zion?
Yes, I do not. I don't think. And if you look back to when he scratched his eye against Florida State, you know, this is just a top-heavy team. They have no bench, no other scoring other than the big three freshmen. I know the air was kind of out of the balloon because he got hurt in the first 30 seconds, and we all felt kind of bummed out by it. But I think last night was on display of this is a fragile team, one that's built around those top three, and he's the most unique weapon we've seen in a long time in college basketball, and they're not going far without him. It also points out just how much torque he puts on his feet, his ankles, his hips, and his knees, and I think that actually would be the biggest cause for concern in drafting him in the NBA, is how does his body hold up to the cuts at 285?
Yeah, if I'm an NBA team that drafts him, I'm getting him a nutritionist right away. And you can slim him down a little bit, get rid of some of that baby fat. Remember, Barkley slimmed down. We think of Barkley as this huge fat guy, but, you know, he slimmed down pretty well when he was in the NBA. But as far as them winning a championship, they were my favorite with Zion. They're certainly no longer my favorite, but I'm not going to count them out. You still have two guys that could be in the top 10 or top 5 of the NBA draft. I'm going to give you a chance if you.
North Carolina scored 65 points in the paint. It's like a layup drill.
To the NFL now, the Steelers won't use the transition tag on Le'Veon Bell after hearing the news. Le'Veon tweeted, "Free at last." Chris, where will L. Bell end up?
I think the Jets is a place he could end up. Indianapolis is certainly in the hunt. I think either of those teams would be great. I'd love to see him in Indianapolis with Andrew Luck. They have some money, so maybe they can get him. But I think the Jets is the team I'd bet on. As much as I like Le'Veon Bell, as much as I think he can help Sam Darnold, not only as a runner, but a catcher out of the backfield, a receiver, I wouldn't give him. He's talking about reportedly $50 million over his first 2 years. There's no way I'm paying a running back in the NFL that much type of money.
Yeah, look at Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley's a perfect example of it, where C.J. Anderson yesterday said, and I believe it was on FS1, said that Todd Gurley was more hurt from the attrition of the season. And Todd Gurley's a guy that...
He's much younger.
He's much younger, okay? And they tore up that contract a year early, and that's not a good sign. Teams understand, like, you can't put all your money in one running back. The Jets need an offensive line. The Jets need wide receivers. Like, they need everything. It's like one of those things like, well, do you want to get a new fridge or do I want to get a new big screen? Sure, but I got to get new floors. I got to get new windows.
They may be bidding against themselves, and so they may not have to.
I don't think he's making back the $14.5 million that he lost from last year.
Finally, Kyrie Irving seems fed up with all the free agent speculation after this viral video of him and Katie speaking in the tunnel at the All-Star Weekend. Spurred on free agent buzz, Kyrie responded to the craziness. Take a listen to what he said.
A human being talks to another best friend of mine. Like, it's just crazy. You know, this is the stuff that just doesn't make the league fun. Like, it doesn't make the league fun. Nobody helps promote the league anymore by doing bull like that. Of just fictitious putting things on, like, what we're talking about. Like, it's crazy. I guess that's what you want.
Chris, what do you make of Kyrie's comments?
I get the frustration. I mean, obviously, you know, every one of those conversations he had with KD, there was something of him in Miami with KD. He waited on the floor. He was like the last player to wait on the floor while KD was giving his acceptance speech, if you will, for the MVP of the All-Star game. And then what we just saw, they all may have been innocent, innocuous conversations, just two friends. And so I get the frustration of maybe everybody's blowing it out of proportion and all that. I understand that. But what Kyrie has to understand is this is a part of the job. He said it doesn't make the NBA fun. Okay, there's plenty of other things that do make the NBA fun. You benefit greatly from this. And every job has an aspect of it that's not fun. Most people's jobs, or a lot of people's jobs, the whole job may not be fun. So anytime you're in the public eye, athlete, politician, the president of the United States, us, you know, you get criticized when you're in the public eye. And the better you are, the higher you rank, the more you're going to be talked about and criticized. He was interviewed by Rachel Nichols of ESPN, and he said, I get it. This type of media coverage and scrutiny follows the great players, and I'm thankful to be a great player in this league. So he seemed like he got it. I get the frustration. Most people would be frustrated with it. You're psychoanalyzed, and all the speculation may completely be wrong. but it comes with the territory. You're compensated tremendously. You get so many fringe benefits from your job. So when he talked to LeBron and he apologized for, you know, being that young guy that didn't understand things, he should have asked LeBron how you handled the media, because obviously LeBron gets more scrutinized than any player. And LeBron, look, all the years, his last year in Cleveland, his last year in Miami, his last year in Cleveland again, he's never let it get out of control. And obviously everybody was speculating, but he's always somehow been able to just not let it ruin that season for his team or himself. And Kyrie has to kind of learn, and so does Kevin Durant, has to kind of learn how to do that.
You know where the best place for both these guys to go is? New York. I mean, there's no troublesome media there. Nobody shakes you down for a story. People don't follow you around. It's a good place to just kind of hide out and get away. That's how the New York media treats you with such respect that they'll absolutely give him his privacy. I'm with you on, I actually understand it feels like an invasion of privacy. And I think what you're hearing from Kyrie and KD is consistent that, hey, I'm actually okay if you criticize me in basketball. I'm actually okay with that. But, like, I can't even have a conversation with my boy. Like, we can be talking about a million things. Like, some video of me having a discussion with a guy in a hallway suddenly becomes, like, that's us deciding where we're going to play next year.
Right.
Now, look, the smarter decision, you ever seen the movie Clear and Present Danger?
Yes.
Okay, so
Harrison Ford.
Right, remember?
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Awesome. Okay, you're with me here.
I don't remember.
Okay, I was like 5 years
okay, so
old,
I'll give you the kind of Reader's Digest version of it. Okay, so a friend of the president, longtime friend of the president, apparently was laundering money for drug lords, right, in South America, and so he's killed on his yacht. So the president's sitting around with all of his henchmen, and they're saying, well, what should we do about this? And all the guys are advising him, like, you guys barely knew each other. You weren't really friends. And Harrison Ford's like, no. Don't say you were friends. Say you were lifelong friends. Because the second you say there's nothing to it, that we're not that close, the media is like, wait a second, you guys grew up together. There's photos of you. Right. He could have, had he just said, like, man, we were just talking about what we did for dinner the night before. Like, had he acted like it was no big deal and not been defensive, it would have gone away. But instead, now you're like, wait a second, there's something to it. They must have been plotting. They must have been talking about which media members do you want to plant stories in. It only feeds the media frenzy more so than marginalize it.
And both of them are so headstrong, which is a good thing, but they don't want to give the media that. They don't want to give, like, they don't want to let you know what they were talking about, because they feel like, why do I have to let you know what I'm talking about? It just comes with the territory. And look, Kyrie could have, when he came out in the preseason and said, I want to stay in Boston if you'll have me, that kind of put things to rest.
Had he said it again?
Then you come out and say, ask me July 1st. That's his right. It's his right to change his mind. It's his right. Like you said before, they probably don't know what they're going to do. So it's their right to just be like, look, ask me July 1st. It doesn't need to be talked about now. But you have to understand there's tons of money riding on you. People are really interested in what you do as a player. It's a great compliment, but you just have to be able to deal with it.
I do think we should put into context, this is, as we know, in practice sessions, you're in a scrum. I mean, this is a short snippet of, they just came back from All-Star break, they're practicing. That was one piece of what was likely 7 to 10 minutes of him sitting there talking, answering questions. So not just always one answer. We're going to move on to the Lakers as they kick off their post-All-Star push tonight against the Rockets. They're currently 3 games out of the playoff picture, and if they are going to make the postseason, LeBron knows he's going to have to ramp it up.
Well, it's going to be a little bit different, you know, for me now, just knowing the position that we're in. You know, for me personally, I haven't been in this position in a while, and because of my injury, it's kind of, you know, hit our team, you know, and I didn't. Obviously, we would love to have the success where I was out, but we didn't, and this is where we is right now. So, you know, I'm going to be a little bit different, a little bit earlier than I would like to be in previous years. My level of intensity has to be, you know, unfortunately for me, because I don't like to do it at such an early time, I'm a little bit different. But it's been activated, so look forward to seeing what we can do.
It's been activated. It's been activated.
Twin powers activate.
Chris, can LeBron carry the Lakers into the postseason?
I loved what LeBron said, and he does have that next level. I mean, obviously he's what, 27, 8, and 7 or something like that. kind of coasting. And I have no problem with him coasting in the regular season. He's still playing very well. And at his age, with his wear and tear, he knows what he needs to do to be ready for the postseason. We saw it last year when they were the 4th seed and people thought maybe they don't get out of the East, and he turns it on, and they do. We saw it the year before, you know, with Toronto and Boston even then. So I'm looking forward to seeing this. I think this will tell us, you know, there's people now that doubt, is he still the best player in the world? I think this last run will tell us, yeah, he's still that guy. And I am confident he can get them in the playoffs. I like this attitude from LeBron because when you've competed, look, for him it's been championship or bust since at least 2007. You know, when he first got to the finals with the Cavaliers. That's the last 11 years of his career, 11, 12 years of his career. When it is really not championship or bust, and now it's just, let's just get to the playoffs, it can be hard to get motivated to do that, especially when very likely Golden State is waiting for you at the end of the tunnel, you know? So to hear LeBron talk about this, like, it's definitely important for us to make the playoffs. I like it, and I think he'll get them in.
I think he'll get them in, but I think it's, you know, the margin for error is really slight. They have the 4th toughest schedule in the West. There's a window here early on in the last part of the season where they play the Pelicans, the Grizzlies, the Pelicans, and then I think they play Phoenix like a game after that, right? Those are the ones you have to win. Like the troubling part wasn't even losing to the 76ers because they stole one in Boston. It was, how are you going to lose to the Hawks when they're trying to lose, seemingly trying to lose games, right? Like how possibly could you do that? So I personally think they're going to get there. I thought that the start of the year, you know, early on in the season when they got to a slow start, it's because they were figuring out how to play with LeBron. When they figured it out, remember there's a time they're 17-10 and they were humming along. Then this is going to be your team. You make some additions, but Kuzma, Lonzo, Brandon Ingram, and all these guys, they may be who you're playing with the next couple years if you're LeBron James, if you don't get that huge trade. I believe that huge trade that was proposed on Twitter was really being leaked from the New Orleans Pelicans, that they weren't throwing in all of those guys because they do actually value these young players.
Your pick, you can get a few of these.
Right, you can get a few of these guys. You can't have all of them. That's because they actually think, like, Kyle Kuzma's a borderline all-star. They think Lonzo Ball still has a chance to be special. Maybe not an elite number 2 draft pick, but he's great defensively. He's the best advanced passer in the NBA, and he's a Swiss Army knife in that he can probably guard 4 positions, and the way you play in basketball, that's invaluable. So I think they want to see it, but there's 2 different NBAs, right? The NBA of all these other teams that don't matter and guys are periodically playing hard and dialing up in the 4th quarter, and then there's the real games. And I still think LeBron wants to see how these guys play. And the front office wants to see, all right, like Kyle Kuzma, we know you can put up 25 and 30 in one of those other games, but can you put it up tonight against the Houston Rockets? Can you guard your position? Can you switch off on a James Harden and not foul and keep him away from his left hand and make him take contested shots? I think this is a great litmus test for these young players as well as for LeBron James. How does his body react when he can't take a day off, when he can't dial it back because the team's not good enough for him to mail it in for a game or 2? They need to win as many as possible.
I also think Rajon Rondo is going to be an integral part of helping them get it together.
He's missed over 30 games, 34 games, I believe.
But just the understanding of what it takes.
People are making it, oh, they're not making the